All right, so guys, again, my name is Danny, and I'm with the PhotoBiz team. Some of you may have seen me at some of our trade shows that we attend, PPA or WPPI Sync. Again, I do our social media here, so you may have seen me on our Facebook. And I am joined today with one of my personal friends and an awesome photographer, Hiram Trillo, and he is going to be going over a full wedding. So again, we are going to put this video on our YouTube channel, which you can access by going to youtube.com/photobiz. A quick couple of notes. We're going to go ahead and do a quick audio test. So if you guys can hear us okay, please go ahead and let us know. Just type inside of the chat box. So Hiram, if you want to do a quick test.
All right, how's everybody doing? Hope everything's going great for all of you, and 2012 start off in the right foot.
All right, awesome. So if you guys can hear both of us, please go ahead and just leave us a quick note and we'll get things rolling. All right, Hiram, we are getting all clear, so you can go ahead and get started. And guys, if you do have anything, you can go ahead and message me privately here inside of the software. Just pull down my name under the presenter, or you can send a message to Hiram. And another quick note, so the way the webinar is set up, Hiram and myself will be the only people speaking today. You guys are just going to be listening in. So near the end, you guys can just message us directly inside of the chat message box, and then I will go through your questions and I will ask them to Hiram. So Hiram, I'm going to go ahead and let you take over at this point.
All right. Hello, everybody, again. My name is Hiram Trillo, and if you guys know me, fantastic. If not, trust me, you're not missing much. But anyways, what we're going to be talking about today, it's going to be basically a workflow on a wedding day. How I approach my weddings, how I start from beginning to end, when do I start, equipment that I use, and stuff like that. We did this one about a month and a half, maybe a couple of months ago, but we're doing it again because we had a lot of people asking if we could do it again, and I would gladly share with you anything you guys want. We're going to use a different wedding this time, just in case the people that joined the last time, I won't just be repeating myself, and you guys get to see some other beautiful couples as well. So let's get started. I'm not going to waste too much time on my introduction. I did it on the first one, and trust me, like I said, you guys don't. If you guys have any specific questions, don't hesitate to form spring me. Ask any questions on there. Send me messages on Facebook or whatever. But like I said, my name is Hiram Trillo, and I'm based out of Dallas. And let's get started. First off, we're going to get started off on the equipment that I use on a wedding day. Don't get too scared. Actually, when I pull it up, it seems like a lot, but it's really, really not. I'm kind of I guess, I don't know how to say it, but I guess like not a nervous wreck, but definitely try to always have a backup for everything. So that's why I always end up taking more equipment than what I would probably use on a regular day, because you just never know when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen. It's better to be prepared than to not be able to capture a wedding day. So basically, here we go. We're going to start off with, this is basically my wedding day setup. This is what I take. I always carry with me two bodies. I use the Lexar 8 gigs. A lot of people ask me why I use 8 gigs. I use 12. I carry 12 8 gigs, which is more than enough. The reason I only use 8 gigs is because I don't want to use anything bigger, just in case anything happens to that card, it ends up being corrupted or anything. There's not a lot of information on there. If I was to put, a 64 gig card in there or anything like that, and say the entire wedding's on there and something happens to that card, then you're kind of, up the creek without a paddle on that one. So I'd rather just have smaller cards and be changing them constantly than having a one big card and something happen to it. So that's the reason why I use that. I carry 5 580EXs with me. As you guys know, I'm a flasher. Love, 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 love to do off-camera flash. Obviously, I'm going to need the transmitters. So I use, the 5. I use Pixel Pixel is a company distributed by Cheetah. Cheetah stand, and I'm sure you guys have heard about it. And I think Cheetah had a giveaway on the community not too long ago. So I use their Pixel transmitters, and I use 4 receivers. Now, the reason I use 4 receivers, or I carry 4 receivers, is because the other 2 are for backup, basically. 2 quantum turbo batteries, just in case. You just never know when you're going to need them. And then I use 2. They're called CE420. They're 2-way radios. They're made by Black Diamond. If you guys have always, have an assistant or second shooter or whatever, it's a pain trying to talk to them without, just being discreet. If you're at church or whatever, highly recommend you guys get 2-way radios. 2-way radios are absolutely fantastic. Oops, sorry about that. So that's what I use, the CE 2-way radios. I use the Rogue grids for my speedlights. I use the grids quite a bit, and I have found out that these were the ones that worked the best for me. The company is called Rogue, and you can see them there right down here. They look just like that. I use 2 C8 stands, which would be these right here. They're automatic stands. If you haven't tried these, I highly recommend them, guys, because these are basically you pick them up and the legs just automatically close in without you having to go in there and unscrew and push the legs in, which is a hassle. So when you have to move really quick, these are the best ones. They have, I think, 3 sizes, but I use the C8s, and the C8s have been really good to me and high enough. So and then I use 1 Cheetah Mini, which folds up. I think it ends up being like 2 feet long once it's all folded up. And it goes up to 8 feet. I use the Cheetah Q box, which is right here. It's a 16-inch small Q box with a grid. I use that religiously. And then for lenses that I carry with me is the 70-200, 24-70, 45 millimeter tilt shift. I love that lens. 45 millimeter, the 50 millimeter, 35 millimeter, and the 100 millimeter macro, and the 135. 135 is to me is probably one of the best lenses that Canon has out there, and it's relatively inexpensive. I think it's like $900 brand new, and it's probably the fastest lens that you will ever come across. It is amazing. Also, I carry a measuring bag with me, and I'll talk a little bit more about this. That's why it's kind of in parentheses. And then the portal case. A portal case it's a hard case that rolls, and the cool thing about it is that it kind of turns into a dolly, and you can put 200 pounds on top of it. And my think tank shapeshifter backpack. So that's basically what I carry, and all of this gets all nice and ends up folding up into that. And so, like I said, it looks like a lot, but it's really not. So now let's get started a little bit into a wedding day workflow. The way I get to know my clients from before the wedding, most of the time I'm booked about a year in advance. And throughout that year, I make sure that my clients really, really, really get to know me. And the reason why I do that is because by the time the wedding day comes around, they see me more as a friend, or rather than somebody they hired. And when that happens, then what you end up doing is they're a lot more relaxed. They really trust you in the things that you want to do, and you don't have this sort of tug and pull with them. They trust what you're doing, and the day turns out to run really, really smooth. So throughout the year, I send them questionnaires. I get to know them. I talk to them. I get to know their vendors, what I need to do. So the day of the wedding, I just get in there and start working. Now, one of the things, this wedding that I just shot, I shot this wedding, and I love every single one of my clients. But when a fellow photographer hires you to do the wedding, it's really, really an honor. This is Marcos Valdez. He's a fantastic photographer from Mexico, and he contacted me last year about his wedding, and I was more than honored that he chose me to do his wedding. So we ended up, like I said, got to know him very well and everything. So the day of, then it went pretty smooth. So we're going to go through some of the images and how I go about it from beginning to end. Now, as you can see here, I do all of my calling in Photo Mechanic. I don't know how many of you guys use Photo Mechanic. If you don't, download the trial, check it out. It's probably one of the fastest and one of the coolest programs that I have. I don't use it for anything else but to call the images, but it's awesome. I can actually pull down up to 5 cards at once, and tag and pick my favorites, do everything. One thing that I do is I download I never download my entire cards into any of my hard drives. I just pull them up, select my favorites, save those, and trash everything else. The reason I do that is because if you download, and I'm sure it's happened to you, it used to happen to me, I would download the entire card, and then I kept going back. Well, I wonder if I missed anything. I wonder if I missed anything else. So, when you start doing that, then you just keep adding more and more and more images that you have to end up editing or and stuff like that. So it wastes a lot of time. And most of the time, the first instinct is the best instinct. So the first time that you see the images that you like, those are the best. I do 2. I do a 3-star and a 4-star. 3 stars that they're good. 4 stars that I really like them, or so that way I know. So those are the 2 that I save. I rarely ever put 5 stars on everything, because to me a 5-star is an excellent image, and I'm one of those people that I'm probably my worst own critic. So I've never actually put 5 stars on any of my stuff, but I'm happy with 4. So when I got to know this couple, I knew that she was very, very, very into fashion. She's a very, very fashion-oriented person. She loves her shoes, so I wanted to make sure that those details were not, gone unnoticed. She put a lot of, your clients put a lot of attention into these details and to the stuff that they like. So make sure that you get to know them. You ask what they, what their likes are and stuff like that. So I made sure that I didn't miss the shoes, and you get to play around a little bit, and the client is very happy with it. So we start off. The first thing that I did when I got there, I knew that she was getting her makeup done. You don't need a billion pictures of the makeup, so I started working with other stuff. So as you see, I started right in here with the shoes, and do multiple things. When I shoot, when you see black and whites in here, I actually shoot black and white on camera. The reason for doing that is because, to me, I actually have some settings on the camera itself to where I don't really have to do much of anything. I go up and on my contrast, put a yellow filter on there, and you get images like this that I really wouldn't do anything to them afterwards. So it's easier once I get them done on the computer, then I just pass them over without having to do much of it. Here's another one of the shoes, and the last one of the shoes. So then we move over a little bit into details of the makeup, trying to use different angles, trying to see different aspects of it. The house that they were using was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful house. I think it was like 300 years old, and it was actually turned into a hotel, which is where they're staying. And you'll see some of the images and some of the awesome stuff. I was very, very lucky that these guys ended up choosing this. They made it very easy to capture just these really romantic images. I try to get different angles of what's happening and get really, really close. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I have a short lens. On these images, most of the time I'll use about a 50 millimeter. Sometimes even I'll use the 100 macro and kind of stand back a little bit, because you have to give, the other vendors, from the flowers to caterers, you have to give them their room. I like to respect their work just as much as they respect mine. So I'm not going to be on top of her and trying to get in the way to get a great picture, There's always ways you can do it. You have zoom lenses and stuff like that to get images like this without having to be right on top of the makeup artist or anything like that. So make sure that you respect those vendors. Those are always a good thing to have in your pocket just in case anything happens. Same thing as you see in here. Get the details. You know, all of this stuff, these details that I take and stuff like this of the makeup artist working, you know, her tools of her trade and stuff like that. I get all these images not only for my brides, but I get these images so that I can pass them on to the makeup artist. You know, I put my logo. I never put my logo directly or watermark directly on the images. What I do, I put a white border, and you can see a lot of these on my fan page on Facebook. A white, and then I put the logo on the white. I'm kind of anti, you know, I think a watermark or anything like that kind of ruins the picture itself. And you know what? If anybody is going to take your image, they're going to do it one way or another, even if you put, you know, a watermark right across the entire thing. I embed metadata into them. You know, I do take some precautionary steps, but that's all I can do. Hopefully it doesn't happen. If it does, well, you know, you contact them and go on. You know, don't stress too much about it. The main thing that you have to think about is your client. So if you start worrying about all this other stuff, you know, other stuff, your client kind of becomes secondary. So get the details, send the stuff over to some of the vendors and stuff like that. I sent these images to the makeup artist, as well as some of these images are going to go to the hotel. Get details. You know, I saw a great reflection. I saw this beautiful rug that was on the thing. Those are details that are from the hotel, so you can actually send this, and you still get this nice, really romantic reflection shot of the bride getting ready. So you don't have to be directly on the bride to get the getting ready shots. On this one right here, as I mentioned before, for those of you who were on the last webinar, I like to do dress shots now, but I'm kind of staying away from, you know, your traditional just the dress shot itself, and I like to kind of embed a little bit more of what's going on, you know, and still show off what the dress was. Well, on this one, using a flash, as you can see, there was some really warm light coming in here, but this was pitch black. And I wanted this to pop, and I wanted to get some of that detail a little bit. So I put a flash right over here, bare bulb, and I just put the plastic diffuser that comes with it. I put it maybe about 4 feet high, and directed it directly onto the dress to bring some of that detail. And now you can see the bride over here is basically 3 images in one. You know, you have the bride right over here. You have her reflection in this letter, and then you have the dress, and it becomes, you know, turns into a kind of gears and moves the viewer's eye from one side to the other, and you don't just get this plain basic shot of just the dress, which eventually those kind of become a little bit boring. So, you know, try to invent new things, try to see new ways of how you can invent old classic shots. You know, so here's multiple ones, and then you go, this one was a little bit edited, brought in a little bit of warmth on this area right over here. Now on this one, she put a lot of time and effort into, like I said, the details. Her bouquet was absolutely beautiful, so I wanted to make sure that we kind of highlight that. Not only that, but like I was saying, I want to kind of show off this stuff for the hotel as well as my clients. So you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I took these shots with that in mind, and I threw the dress in there just in case the other one didn't, you know, the bride for some reason wanted just the dress itself, and it was in there. But as of now, I haven't had any complaints about putting the dress and my clients in it. So as you see, I kind of pan around the room and show these areas that would go to both my clients and the vendors. Do some close-ups. Get the details. And this is when I shift back to the client. You know, by this time when I'm doing all this other stuff, then, they're a little bit further ahead. Like, as you can see, the makeup's already done. Now they're moving on to her hair, so now I can go back and start getting a different type of detail, which is now is the hair and not just makeup and makeup and makeup. Use your light. You don't. This day they have this beautiful, beautiful light coming into the windows or whatever. So use that to your advantage. You don't always have to use flash. As much as I love it, sometimes you have fantastic light that's coming in. Take that to your advantage, and and go for it. I love silhouettes. I love shadows. So images like this are just crisp, and it kind of gives you this, je ne sais quoi about an image where, what's going on. It kind of intrigues you a little bit. Who is she looking at? What is she doing? What is she thinking? So I try to get all that stuff and basically put her own frame around it by using the door. Both of the doors were open, and what I did, I just basically went and closed one and kind of framed her and separated this from this other area over here where the curtains were coming down. So it kind of, I don't shoot very much. Actually, in this wedding, I think I was there for 15 hours, and I think I shot about 480 frames, and they're gonna get like 350 of them. So pick your shots. You don't have to be a machine gun shooter. You don't have to do that spray and pray type thing. Pick your shots and go for it. This kind of comes to me because I shot film for such a long time. I shot film. I didn't switch to digital until 2005. So, and I still currently shoot film for personal projects and some weddings that I do ask for it. So, now go on to the next one. The makeup artist had a daughter, which was also really good friends with the couple. So I want to kind of bring all that stuff in a little bit, get different angles of what's going on. She loved her pink champagne, and on these little things, you just kind of look at what's going on. On this one, I just saw she was just very gently resting her elbow on her side, and she had. I love the way that her hand is shaped and everything else, so I just took that shot and see what happens, So kind of get the little details of everything that's kind of going on. So we're gonna go real quick through some of these. Like I said, blacks and whites are shot the same way. And this one was actually a really, really good shot. This was actually shot by the guy that was assisting me at that, and I really, really loved it because of the detail. Adriel is a fantastic photographer. He's really, really young photographer, and I really, really kind of I'm excited to see where his talent goes, because he's going to be very, very fantastic, talented photographer. And I love to see young photographers grow. On this one, same thing. Lined up some glasses in there, kind of shot through, kind of break everything up just a little bit, and it kind of gives you these little. To me, it's a playful thing to do. So use everything that you have there to your advantage. If you kind of start running out of ideas or whatever you think, just try something new. And break the things. On this one, I know that they're doing her hair, but it's still it's a different, shot from everything else that we've done. So here's another one from the same angle, just the hairdresser just kind of moved, and there was a little bit more light coming out to her. So we're going to go through some of these. This one. This was a very, very common one, but if it's there, take advantage of it. I don't necessarily do it on purpose. Like I don't tell the brides, I want to get the reflection. If it happens, take advantage of it. Be ready for it and just take advantage of it. So. All those quirky little smiles and the things that go on. On this one, I'm not too proud to be jumping in closets or stuff like that. So this is where all these are kind of coming from. So now, On these, when there are reflections, guys, take all of that stuff to your advantage. When there's mirrors around, take that to your advantage, and you get some really, really cool pictures. Like on this one, this was actually the bride's, I guess, groom of honor. Really good friends. They've been friends for a long time. But instead of asking him to get close to her, I saw this reflection on this armoire that was on this area, and I didn't have to say anything. I just took a step back and took the shot, and it works. It works, to my advantage. He's still looking at her. Nothing looks warped. Nothing looks different. It's just, so take advantage of everything that's around you, whether it's glasses, whether are mirrors, whatever it is, chandeliers. Take advantage of them, and go from there. Like I said, things, little details on the for the couple to remember where they got married and stuff like that. Well, that's going to be very good for them, as a piece to remember, as well as you can actually take this to the vendor itself. So now these next ones, we're going to skip through some of them. Some of them are a little bit PG-13, and this was because, like I said, when your clients kind of trust you a little bit, you want to do this. I don't do boudoir, but when the bride, it's okay with you. I never ever say, I'm going to stay here, to get you or assistance or anything. It's always up to the brides. Most of the time, I excuse myself until they ask me to come in. But I knew that she wanted something that was a little bit kind of fashiony, and I actually took this a lot of these frames from an ad campaign that Louis Vuitton did a long time ago. I mean, I'm talking like early 50s, maybe late 50s, and I kind of gave it that little twist and shot them that way. Very tasteful, very thing, but the same thing, just to show a little bit. Same thing, like you say, you see everything that's over there, you see the details around, but you never wanna get too like, you don't want to cross that line with your clients. Even if they trust you completely, you want to make sure that trust stays there. So. As you can see, very plain, very very simple, very sexy. So you want to do these. On this one, it's actually intentionally shot out of focus. It kind of just gives it this very romantic feel to it. So we're gonna skip through some of these, and we'll go to right in here. So, like I said on this one, take advantage of your reflections. Same thing on this one. This was a little bit too overexposed on the middle one, so in the post-production, I'll probably bring this down just a little bit and darken it. So then we get ready to put the dress on. So on here, like I said, just play around with it, things that are going, look, see what's around, and go from there. When you're assistants, trust me, and I'm sure a lot of you have done this, you kind of become masters of helping out brides and stuff like that during the wedding day. I always carry from sewing kits to a bunch of stuff in my bag, and sometimes your assistant has to help out. So on this one, this the assistant that was helping me, Ariel was helping me, and she couldn't stand because obviously you saw the heels, so I told her to jump in, and went from there. So all these were all natural light. That's me jumping in the closet, like I said, and capturing some of these images. Now, see, these clients were obviously from out of town. This is a destination wedding. most of these clients don't have the opportunity to do a bridal. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't go out of your way to do a shoot for them. For most of my clients, I do that. I ask that we have some time before or maybe some time in between, ceremony and reception to do a full shoot for them. And most of them are very, very excited that you even consider doing that for them. So make sure that when you do your destination weddings or when you do a wedding where, the couple couldn't afford to do an engagement session or they couldn't afford to do a bridal session, always, like over deliver. That is the key thing to any good business, I believe personally, especially in the photography industry. Over deliver to your clients. Don't wait for them to ask for anything. You just, you do it. It's not going to take any extra money. It's not going to be an expense, extra expense for you or anything. Just, do it, and I will guarantee you that they will be absolutely floored when you offer them these things, or you just, automatically give them some of this stuff. So, on this one, same thing. She was putting her garter on, and I just kind of stood back a little bit, set up some flashes, and it took, a couple of minutes. So, went back, took a couple of shots. Very simple, very plain. And all of this was done as she was walking, to go towards the car, to go toward the wedding. So you can be doing this as you're following her. Jump in the car with her and go to it. We're going to take a break right here real quick. And this was the first section of them getting ready. We're going to go into the ceremony and stuff like that in a minute. So right now, let's take some questions. What do you guys have questions?
All right, Hiram, let me go through. There's definitely been questions coming through, so I will go ahead and
Awesome.
Start asking you those inside of here. So let's go through here. First question from Corey, do you shoot in RAW or JPEG? I'm just curious because you mentioned you use 12 8GB cards.
I shoot in RAW.
All right, and a couple people were asking in those shots inside of the hotel there, were most of those natural light or only the ones you mentioned flash? Were those the ones only using flash?
Yeah, on this one, like I said, there was amazing light coming in. I love warm lights, and especially the way it kind of makes those oranges kind of pop a little bit. So when there's good light, you don't have to ruin it by putting a flash on there. I did it just as a filler, for example, the ones that I talked about, that was going to be the dress and stuff like that. But other than that, the rest of them were natural light.
Okay, great. Next question from Frederick. With such yellows in the room, where do you set your white balance?
On this one, I see my white balance is actually, I shoot everything that I shoot it in Kelvin. So okay. my temperature, I put accordingly. Like I said, I like warm tones. So when I shoot Kelvin on this one, I was actually shooting Kelvin at 6100.
Okay, great. Let me go through some more stuff through here. There's so many rolling through. Hang on just a second. Okay, this is from Michelle. Are you directing any of the action when when she's getting ready? For example, did you suggest that she stand with her leg on the chair, or is this all spontaneous?
It really depends. If you're not getting something from your client, then you can definitely direct them. Don't post them, but definitely direct them. On this one, like I said, I knew what she was going for. I kind of waited for a little bit. I did suggest, because what she was trying to do, her leg was much lower, and I kind of directed her, maybe we could do it a little bit higher, but it's minimal things like this. For the most part, I try to stand back just enough to see what happens, and then when something doesn't happen, then I kind of manipulate a situation to get the shot that I want. But I don't ever want to impose anything on the clients, because then it kind of breaks the spontaneity of the day.
Gotcha. We'll take a couple more questions if you want to get everything all ready.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go through here. So here's one from Christina. My clients are always looking straight at me when I'm moving around the room. How do you get them to ignore you?
That's actually a very, very good question, and you will get some of these clients. You'll get some of these clients that will, they could be talking perfectly to one of our friends, and somebody busts out a camera, and boom, that's the first thing that they do. They turn around, they try to smile, or they're just, they think that's what you want. A lot of the times when it does happen, because I do have some of those clients as well, just tell them how, just keep going about your business, and act natural. I was like, if you look at the camera, it's an unnatural thing. So, if I want you to look at the camera, I'll call your name. If anything, if not, just keep going about your business. So you do have to tell them sometimes, because a lot of these clients, like I said, they're not professional. They don't know anything, and a lot of them think that because there's a camera in front of them, a lot of them start thinking about, well, the left side is my best angle, blah blah blah. So all of this stuff. So you just kind of have to give them that sense of security, that you know what you're doing, and just let you work. And this kind of comes into having your client really get to know you before the day comes.
Awesome. And we'll take another question here. This is from John. He's mentioning he's just getting into wedding photography, and can you offer some advice to another male photographer as how you can get access to the bride getting ready? I found it seem uncomfortable that some seem uncomfortable with that. Not sure the best way to approach that.
The best thing that I can tell you is never ask. Don't ask, if you can stay there. Always excuse yourself from the room. I still do it, right before she gets ready, before she even says anything, I always excuse myself. And so, like, hey, when you're putting your dress on, I'm going to step outside, and whenever you're ready, just call me in. The only thing that make sure that the back of the dress is not zipped up or tied up, so that we can get those shots. And it kind of gives them, it kind of gives them that feeling of, okay, he's being very respectful. So a lot of them will kind of relax a little bit, like, oh, okay, well, do you want to take a shot of me putting the dress on? If they suggest it, then I'd be like, if you're comfortable with it, yes. If not, just call me in whenever you're ready. So don't ever ask, or don't ever impose yourself into trying to get those shots. Not every bride is going to want them, and respect. Respect is the number one thing. So the best thing that I can tell you is excuse yourself, and if they tell you to stay, then go for it. If you feel comfortable with it. If not, then make sure that your client makes the call, not you.
It's great advice. I'll grab one more question, and then we'll go ahead and roll right back into it. So let me go through here. And the last question I had, well, there's many, guys, so I will try and do my best to get to them at the end. Ashley wants to know any advice for how to capture both great getting ready photos and detail photos from the reception area when they are at separate locations.
Okay. This wedding is one of the reasons why I wanted to show this wedding. The last wedding that we did, when we did wedding wear flow, everything was in one area. Well, this one was not. The hotel that we're getting ready was about a mile away from the church, which is not too bad. But with traffic, and this is Querétaro, which is a very historic place, so there's tons of roads just blocked off, and tiny little roads and little alleys that you have to go through. And then the reception area was probably about 10 miles away. So it's kind of if you see, like in this situation, if you see there's not any getting ready photos of the groom, because I talked to them, ahead of time. I was like, listen, there's no possible way for me to be at two places at once. So, I mean, if it's okay with you, I can get the groom getting ready, or I can get the bride getting ready. And it was their call. Obviously, most of them, I want to say almost 99% of the time, they're going to be like, no, just stay with her. Because, guys, it takes 15 minutes, really. I mean, all they do is put on a jacket, put on a bow tie or tie, and they're done, So there's a lot. So most of them are gonna suggest that you stay with the bride. But the best thing that you can do is talk to the client ahead of time and figure out the best way to do it. Because you don't want to cut yourself, too thin and miss something in between. Because if you're going to be running back and forth in between the groom, or even if you have a second shooter, you want to make sure that you're in control of everything. So talk to your clients ahead of time. Let them know what the situation, and I'll guarantee you that they're going to be completely understanding of your concern. And they'll be very thankful that you told them ahead of time, and it's not a surprise at the end that there's no images of the groom. So, it's better to screen first than to be yelled at, later on.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and let you continue here, and I'm going to write down some of everyone's questions so I'll have them ready for the end.
Awesome. All right. Now let's get started a little bit on the ceremony part. Now, you have to be ready for anything. I've been very lucky that I've shot Jewish, Catholic, Indian, Muslim, Asian. So I've had great clients that have trusted me with their wedding day. But you have to be ready for anything. You have to be ready for a dark church. You have to be ready for, I mean, believe it or not, there's some churches that are way too bright sometimes, and you have to be able to know that. My personal dream, hopefully within the next year, I want to shoot a wedding at the what's it called, the Crystal Cathedral in Orange County. But I know everything there, it's glass. So if I use flash, I got to be worried about bouncing, all of that stuff, reflections. So you have to be ready and be prepared to anything that happens. Now, this church, it's an absolutely beautiful church, probably one of the most beautiful churches that I've shot at. Have these, I mean, it's, centuries old. I really couldn't tell you how old it is, but it's got to be over 300 years old. Hand-carved stone. The downside to that is that not only was the client's ceremony late in the afternoon, which was 6 o'clock, that's when the sun's coming down, but this church has basically 2 windows in the entire church. So it's basically a cave. So I had to be prepared for that, because there's a lot of details. And the one thing that the bride told me was that she loved the chandeliers in this church. So guess what my primary thing is? Get an amazing shot using those chandeliers. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to show you how I lit some of it, how using the ambient light and using the off-camera flash, and still keeping some of those details. So this was the entrance, which is very, very different. As you can see, on this one, both bride and the groom are in front of the church, and they're side to side. But the bride is probably about 2 feet behind the groom. That's the way the priest wanted it. Not necessarily my favorite thing to do, but sometimes you're going to get those priests that are jerks. So this was one of them, unfortunately, and it's their house, it's their rules, so you got to follow them. So, he got him there. He was talking to both of them, and I got this shot, which is, to me, it's a very sweet, odd, weird, kind of, I don't know. Their faces just are priceless. They're so serious about what's going on. You can see how nervous they are on everything. But I mean, if you were there, you could literally just feel the love and the tension and the nervousness that they had in between. It was absolutely fantastic. That's why I love my job, because you can't get feelings like this anywhere else. So I took this shot, and then I moved myself, literally just booked it to the front of the church because I knew that's where the groom was going to be. And you don't have to take 1,000 shots, guys, of the groom, you know, of when the bride's coming in. Pick your one shot. Pick that one shot that it's going to be priceless. This groom was he's a very, very sweet, you know, and he's a very emotional, which is why it makes him such a great photographer as well. But I also wanted to capture that, wanted to make sure that I captured those emotions. So I booked it to the front. He was there by the time I got there. I just waited and waited and waited, and I got that shot. I knew I didn't have time to set up the flashes, and I didn't. You know, if you can see it, there's a flash right back here, and that's how I set it up. And you know, so I was like, you know, I'm just gonna do it. It's still, you know, Calvin, so that's why it's a little bit orangey. I might pull it down just a little bit, but I actually kind of like this look. And I mean, the smile from ear to ear that he had was just absolutely amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better smile. It was just, it was a priceless little moment. You know, it seems like there's nothing around him. It's just him, and I mean, his eyes were just locked on his bride coming down the aisle. And then, you know, from there, I just, you know, shifted over and took these images. You know, the dad, and most of the time, I thought it was really, really sweet that most of the time, you know, you'll see how, you know, the bride is kind of locked arms with dad, but on this one they were like holding hands. They were walking in. It was, like I said, just be ready for anything and make sure you capture all those little details. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. You can see her just looking straight forward. Dad, you know, same thing, forward with their eyes are. Everybody else, you know, is just kind of enjoying the moment and going from there. You can see how dad is just sweet talking her down the aisle, how the smile just comes in. And then on this one, you know, there's a little bit of movement coming in, and dad is just looking at, what I thought was really sweet is that dad here, it turns around and just kind of looks at mom. And yeah, it almost, this was almost an accident. I knew something like this was going to happen, but how everything else just kind of blurred out except for him, that was definitely an accident, because I caught him taking a step and she was moving, so it kind of froze everything, and you just see that frozen, you know, look that he's giving his wife, you know, as he kind of gives his daughter away. So I thought it was just absolutely amazing. Now, by this time I have my flashes ready, I have everything done, so I want to start making sure that I take advantage of that. And this is where I start, you know, using, like I said, I wanted to make sure that the chandeliers, that all the details were not lost. So this is the type of imagery that I wanted to look for. Pull back just a little bit more, and did an open one. Went back when, you know, when there were the readers. So and this to me was the shot that I was looking for. It shows every single one of the chandeliers that was there, and this is the reason why when I said that I love the tilt shift, this is one of the reasons why. I can put my focus on one area, and it almost kind of looks like you're shooting toys in a way. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's such a personal, I mean, this was an enormous church. It's absolutely gigantic on how big this church is. And it made it look so compact, so almost toy-like. And I wanted that. I wanted to show that. I wanted to show, you know, where the center of attention should go, but still keep every single one of those details. There was so much detail on here. from the chandeliers, to the people, to the flooring, to these angels, these frescoes that were on the side. I wanted to make sure that those were also in focus, with them, that the light was right. So, like I said, if you guys ever want to try a lens out, I highly recommend the tilt shift. I absolutely love it. I use it quite a bit, and especially for situations like this. Here's another one. Now this one, what I wanted, right over here, they had, in Mexico, this was early January. This was actually January 6th when we shot this, so it was really close to Christmas. And they don't actually take down the manger in Mexico until, well past that. But I saw all of these little lights. There were some other little things right over here. But basically, I wanted to kind of give it this Starry Night look type thing, and really kind of highlight them. So, killing everything else and just enough to bring that in, kind of gave me these shots. So I was just so very happy that I could actually use flash in the church. That, Then also, take advantage of what's. So there's two different versions. Him, with ambient light holding the ring, and then her with a flash holding the ring. So make sure the traditions of the religion that you're shooting. This was called, the sharing of the arras, which is when they basically promise each other that he's going to provide for her and that she's basically going to be careful and take care of the money. So get all these rules and all of these traditions when you shoot a wedding that is not your religion, or that is either shared religions or anything like that. Make sure that all of that stuff. You don't want to miss anything. Here you go, same thing again. On this one, I wanted to get, the dad was right over here, and I kind of wanted to throw a little bit of light on them, but he was a little bit shorter than the people that were behind him, so no light really kind of landed on him. But still, you could still see mom kind of looking over at them by using a fill light right over here. So I wanted to, so exactly where the focus of the image was going. Same thing with the traditions, everything that's going on. And then when the priest was right over here, he wasn't looking. So sometimes, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So I jumped right in front to where the altar was at, took a snapshot. It doesn't have to be a flattering snapshot. It's just something quick, something simple, and kind of caught them off guard. So sometimes those shots are fun. And then obviously, just let them be them. There's no way that I can direct any of this stuff. There's no way that I can tell them, how their interaction is. So just be ready for it. Be ready for it, and you'll capture, images just like this one. Now, I'm going to tell you, to me, a little secret that, to me, I absolutely love. The first kiss is fantastic. It really, really is, but it's always there. It's going to happen. So a lot of the times it's a little bit, rehearsed. To me, the very, very best kiss is the kiss as soon as they walk out the church. It happens 95% of the time. They walk outside and they realize, oh my God, we're married. And the first thing they do is that they give each other this beautiful, just passionate kiss. And that, to me, it's my favorite kiss. That's the one that you can't control. It's not rehearsed. It just happens. So although the first kiss is good, this was, 3 shots of their first kiss. I want to, when they stepped outside, I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know when it was going to happen, but I knew I was ready, and then it happens. And that's what you want. That's what you want to. I was lucky enough that all of that stuff had already kind of landed and gone away, so it wasn't so distracting. You see a couple of rose petals here and there, but it kind of adds to it. But this is what I'm waiting for. This is what I wanted to do. This one, obviously, you know, I put a little texture on there just to kind of focus. So this one's the edited already. But this is my favorite one. Try it next time. You know, make a conscious effort to look for it, and most of the time you're going to be very, very happy that you captured it. So that was a ceremony that we kind of went through. So if you guys are cool, we're going to go through the session that I did for them, and then I'll ask some questions right before we go into the reception. So, like I said beforehand, just because they don't have time, if you're doing a destination or if you're doing something that they couldn't afford to do a session, ask. You know, I mean, without them asking, just do it. Do a session for them. On this one, I told them I knew I couldn't do a bridal. I knew that I couldn't do a engagement. So I told them that see if we could have 2 hours in between, because I knew the reason I said 2 hours was because at least it's a solid hour to take pictures, and the other ones to drive to where the reception was going to be, and give yourself time just in case anything happens on the way. So they said, you know, they were very happy, and they said yes. So I took them out. We started taking some pictures. Now, if you remember earlier, I was testing myself on the reflection that I did with her groom of honor. So I wanted to take basically the same type of picture, but now I was going to use the groom. So sometimes you just test it beforehand if you have an idea of what you want to do. So I did it earlier, and I knew I wanted to do that with the groom later on. So as you can see, this was straight out of camera. I haven't taken out there's these doors right here, so I hid the light stand behind this, but there's part of the softbox right here that's lighting her. And I put one, sorry about that. And I put the stand in between both of these lights, and with the flash hitting him, as you can see right here, which is a different angle. This one, same thing, kind of balanced thing. Put one right up front. These are all straight out of camera. There you go. Here's another one. It's a little bit dark, so I'll bring in some of this stuff, and make sure that once in a while you clean your sensors. As you can see, I have some stuff that I need to get rid of. We're going to go through these real quick. Obviously, on this one, there's not much. I took this as an open shot so that you can see how I set this one up. It's a bare bulb. Excuse me, not a bare bulb, but this is a flash, and this is the grid that I use. The reason I use a grid is because see how fine I can actually almost pinpoint where I want that light to hit. So here's basically it. Now, obviously, as you can see, this is the same color temperature as this, so it's white light that's coming through. The reason is because I actually took the bulb out of this light, and I put a flash in there. So because I wanted it to match, I didn't want it to be as orange as everything else. I wanted the focus to be right here, so that's why I did that. And this is what the shot model is going to look like. I'm going to come right in there, cut some of this off, and that's what we get. And as you can see, I took a wider one, and you can see the flash right in here on both of these. Put in, and this is what's probably the one that I'm going to use as my final image, and just remove this right over here. This was a close-up of the same one. This one was very simple, just a flash on the opposite side, because I love, like I said, I love shadows, I love silhouettes. Very, very simple. Takes 2 seconds to do these images. Same thing on here. Switch this off. Use the reflection on it. Now you have two light sources plus the one that you have right up top. So right in here, I put a flash inside of the lamp right in there, so that it wouldn't be as the same color temperature as everything else. So there you go. This is what I was going for. One. There's this one. All you did on this one was just flip it around so that I could actually have enough to do the reflection on there. And there you go. All right, so that was that. Let's take some questions, and then we'll get into the ceremony.
All right, awesome. Well, I see lots of different questions in here, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and I think the most common question that came up was, what was the tilt shift lens you were using? And yeah, a lot of questions regarding that.
Cool. The tilt shift that I use is the 45 millimeter tilt shift. It's a Canon 45 millimeter.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and message that to everybody inside of here. So let me go through more of these different questions. So a lot of people were curious, how are you dealing with, guests with flash, cameras with flash and cell phone cameras? Are you requesting to the couple that they ask them not to use their cameras, or are you letting the couple decide that? How do you usually handle that?
In my contract, it does say that that there should not be another photographer. Honestly, guys, a little point-and-shoot camera with a flash is really not going to affect anything. My flashes are going to overpower the flash that one has, so I'm not too worried about it. If it, I have had where there was a completely dark church, and then people would bust out their cell phones to try to take a picture, or their point-and-shoot cameras. You can actually kind of use that to your advantage. I've had one where the church was so dark and it had one spotlight on them, and it kind of looked like it was a concert. So, it depends on how you work with it. Now, if Uncle Bob does show up with a 5D Mark II and a 580 flash, then I'm going to, it's more than likely it hasn't ever happened because the clients will tell everyone beforehand. But, you always have those guests that are rebels, and they'll try to get away with something. So I'll go straight to Uncle Bob and say, hey, listen, there can actually be an interference, between the flashes or whatever. So if you can just, not use it while I'm shooting, or if you can just be very, kind of keep an eye out for what I'm doing. And most of the time they'll understand. They'll be like, oh, absolutely, because you're talking to them as a colleague more than anything. Never down talk to a guest, never down talk to a client. Kind of explain to them why the reasoning is of what you want. But, it's going to happen, guys. All we have to do is, as professionals, just deal with it. But do tell, put it in your contract that there shouldn't be other people. Within most of the time, that's going to take care of it. But when not, just be straight up with them.
Awesome. So next question from Evie wanted to know. She says, when I'm shooting a wedding, I feel the ceremony is the most sacred part of the day, and do my best to stay away from the front of the church and out of the way. Do you feel, or do you ever get requests from your bride and groom regarding this? How do you handle and view this scenario?
Well, basically, like I said, I try to get in contact with the church. I want to see what the rules and the regulations are, and you always have to make sure you respect that. If the bride and groom want a picture from the front and you can't because of the regulations of the church, then be upfront with your client and be like, we can't do that because of this. You don't want to burn any bridges in the area or churches that you're at, because it can blacklist you, and you don't want that. So what you want to make sure that you're always respectful. On this one, the priest was never available for me to talk to him, and he was kind of a jerk. They didn't request any, like I said, him being a photographer, he knew exactly, he didn't question anything that I did or whatever. They didn't request anything. He gave me free reign on everything that I wanted to do. So that front shot, I just took it just because I wanted to take it. And basically, I just wanted a surprise face from them. but always make sure that you respect the rules, regulations that the venue has more than anything. And then tell your clients, if they're requesting some images and you can't do them, just tell them straight out that you can't do them.
All right, and let's go ahead and move on through some of these other questions that we have in here. So again, and I guess it comes down to, in your contract and speaking with the clients, a question came in, is it okay to use flash during the ceremony?
Okay, in this church, it was fine. But again, it depends on the church. It depends on the venue itself. So make sure you know beforehand, because you don't want to be relying on flash and then you get there and then you can't use it. So be prepared for whatever it is. Get in contact with the church ahead of time. I knew for sure that they could definitely use flash on this church or in this church, because my client had already shot weddings there, and he knew all rules and regulations, so I got all that information from him. So make sure that you know what the rules are of the church beforehand.
Awesome. A lot of questions came in. How did you get the effect with the photos where the background's blacked out and it's just them lit in dim light along with the flash?
Basically, all I did was I overpowered the rest of the lighting. I closed down. I think I shot that at an F10, F8, F10, if I'm not mistaken, and then I boosted the power up to a quarter power, which was gonna basically kill the rest of the light, the ambient light that was around.
All right, and Crystal wanted to know, are you shooting all this handheld, or when do you ever use tripod?
No, never use a tripod. It's too much of a hassle, and I just don't want to deal with it. As you can see, some of the images that I took, they were definitely handheld because they're a little crooked. I tend to actually my left side, my right side tends to be a little bit lower, and now it gets really bad because I have a dislocated shoulder that I haven't taken care of. So when my arm gets tired, I kind of start getting lazy, and then when I start realizing, then I'll try to bring it back up. So it's definitely, it's all handheld. I don't use tripods or monopods.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. Do you shoot in aperture mode or manual?
Manual. Everything on manual.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another question that came inside of here. All right, let me go through a couple more of these since there's so many that keep popping in, and then I'll let you continue, Hiram. Okay. Are the triggers TTL, or do you do your settings ahead of time?
No, everything that I shoot is always manual. I don't shoot TTL.
Okay.
I've never really shot TTL. To me personally, it's not an exact science yet. It's really good when in a super controlled environment, but in situations like this, honestly, I move around too much. There's a lot of changing scenarios from just the way I shoot, that TTL really wouldn't work for me. So the triggers and everything they're manual. Everything that I do is manual.
All right, great. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll let you continue through here. And you guys, if you have any additional questions, please send them through. And if I haven't gotten to yours yet, feel free to message me again on here. Also, I'm going to place the link to Hiram's Facebook and FormSpring page as well. I know I've seen your FormSpring. You always get back to people on there. So if you do have any more specific questions, definitely that's a great place to ask him as well if we don't have time to get to them today.
I have one that just popped up on me from Karen Pentuzzo, I believe. It says the question was, during the ceremony, did I use two bodies slung over my shoulders with one set up for ambient and one for flash? If not, how did he handle switching back and forth? The one that I sent on that one, yes, I do use two bodies, and no, one's not for ambient, one for flash. I switch that, fairly quickly, depending on what I want to do. So, but I do use two bodies. when I'm shooting ceremony and actually mainly ceremony because on the reception, most of the time it's just one. But so yeah, I do use two bodies, but they're both set to Kelvin, and that's how I shoot. So.
All right, and I assigned another question to you. Let me know if it came in there about ISO.
No.
Okay, let me go back to it then real quick. It was from, well, first off, so mainly, what's the highest range that you'll go up to? It was from Elizabeth, and she was wanting to know, she noticed that it looked like some of the photos, did you ever shoot any up at 5,000 ISO? And if you did, how are you removing the noise?
Okay. The 5D Mark II is actually really good on noise. I do have you do have the option on there where it says I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think it's like noise reduction. Basically what it does, it takes a little bit longer when you take a shot to process the image, but it's totally worth it. Absolutely totally worth it. I always put that setting. I enable that setting because it's for example, if you do a 20-second exposure, then it takes 20 seconds to actually process the image and show it on the screen in the back. But trust me guys, it's totally worth it. So I always have that one enabled. Now some of these I did shoot at ISO 5000, and I rarely do that. But when I do, the 5D Mark II is pretty awesome in showing and handling the I don't think I think this is the highest I've ever gone, on 5000. But you can see some noise, but it's not. I mean, it's light years ahead of what it used to be.
Well, awesome answer, man. I'm going to let you go ahead and continue on in here. And guys, if you do have any other questions, just like I said, send them on over to me.
Cool. All right, now we're going to go into the reception area and the reception part. And then after this, like I said, we're going to have a good time with some Q&A. So, keep your questions handy. Now, when I get to the reception, it really kind of depends where you want to capture them. If you want to capture them, when they're getting off their car, if you want to capture them when they're walking in, if you want to be behind them, if you want to be in front, it kind of just depends. On me, it varies. I don't have a set thing of where I want to capture them. I just kind of want to make sure that I see them at least walking towards where they're going to be. So on this one, the door was right back there. There was some light. I wanted to make sure, remember also that the clients, they pay money for the lighting that they have there, and also the venues. The venues like that stuff. So don't kill it. Even if you're using flash, don't kill that light. You want to make sure that the ambient light is showing through. Her colors were kind of pinkish, purplish, so I wanted to make sure that kind of showed through on this stuff. So as you can see on this one, you can very well see that the lighting in the background, all of that stuff. They're walking in. He's got a big smile. There's some food right over here that I'll probably get rid of later because it's not too flattering. But as of now, I wanted to make sure that my focus was right in here. And all these I never shoot. Well, I'll take that back. You'll see when I shoot my flash on camera. Other than that, it's on my hand or off on stands. I never shoot or bounce my light off of anywhere. So I'll tell you when I have my flash on top of my camera. All these were all as you can see on this one. Oops, sorry. As you can see on this one, here's one flash, and here's the other. Okay, so I always put them. This is the way I always place my flashes. They're in opposing corners of the dance floor. But make sure that when the DJ or band or whatever has lights, take advantage of those as well. Okay, so a lot of the times, I'll just, and you'll see, I'll just shoot the, using the light that the DJ had, and then some other time I'll use my own flash. And then, like I said, you always have, Uncle Bob. In this case right here, it wasn't Uncle Bob. It was actually a videographer that I had spoken with ahead of time to make sure they stayed away from my shots. But, it happens. So as soon as I get there, since the venue was so far from the place, then the first thing that I want to get there is while they're saying their highs, as you can see, they're right back here saying hi to everyone, then I want to start spreading myself out and taking those detail shots. On this one, they have this huge, like, awesome candy bar thing. Not a candy bar, but a candy bar. And it had amazing stuff. So I wanted to make sure I took advantage of that because obviously they put a lot of interest into getting this done. And as well, now I have something that I can give back to the person, to the vendor who put this together and get some images to her. So like I said, always, have your vendors in. This is a destination wedding, this in Mexico. So it's always good to have good bridges, to climb over to Mexico if you want to do that. So take advantage of that when you're doing destination weddings or any wedding in that matter. So we're going to go right through here, get those details, using a flash, but still using the ambient light that's still around. And then once you get all those done, then you focus back onto your clients. So now they're going to do, the toast. Now, most of the time, the one thing that I do kind of ask is if there's a wedding planner, make sure you get a timeline from the wedding planner. That's going to save you so much time, and it's going to save you so many missed shots. Because most wedding planners, they're very strict about following the timeline. So you want to make sure that that is something that is followed, and it helps you knowing exactly where you need to be. Now, I knew that the city was behind them right over there. There was ambient light around, but I still wanted to give it that extra little, pop once you're there. There were some little light bulbs, right on top. But if you see this is actually my flash, but it's not, my flash is not outside. I knew that my flash was going to bounce off of this window, so that's what I used it for, and I used that as a filler to get some light onto them. So it kind of does multiple jobs on that. So that's what they were doing the toast. Do a little further out. See, here's the DJ light, here's one of my flashes, and here's the other flash that I do this quite a bit. This was my assistant at the time. But if you see, I put them next to other people. I didn't put them right over here where there was nobody. I put him next to other people so that he could kind of blend in. And it sometimes looks much better than having, a light stand right there. So try to do that. Try to, if you have an assistant, if you have a second shooter or whatever, or even if you have a light stand, mix it in within people so that it kind of blends in and it's not so obvious all of the time. So right, as you see right here, I mean, they're kind of like surrounded by light. If you see all this right around, and the primary image is going to be, it's going to be right there, which is where I want people to go. So same thing in here. And this one right here was using nothing more, nothing less than the ambient light or the light that the DJ was providing. So see this right here? Sometimes I take these shots just because it happens. It's good to kind of bring in some of the this one right here was one of the relatives, and it was a sweet picture with him kind of blurred out in the foreground. So I do it just because sometimes. This right here, now I'm using my flash as well as the light that's in here, so it kind of just surrounds them, because I knew that this was going to happen, and I wanted to make sure that I froze some of the stuff and I couldn't necessarily depend on this, as you can see, because he shifted it, so it looks totally different from there to there. So I wanted to make sure that I was ready with my flashes ready. So. And then I go back to using just his lights. There you go. See, if you can see this, it's very similar. Here's my flash, and here's that light. So now I'm only popping both of these so that I could get this nice long shadow, and I can actually get the shadow on this side and just kind of highlight the edging of them, kind of do it like a halo effect on that. It would have not looked the same if I had turned the flash on the opposite corner. Now, these right here, him being a photographer, obviously he had photographer friends. So all these guys are all photographers, great photographers from Mexico as well. And it was just funny because he told everyone that they couldn't bring their cameras. So I just thought it was funny that everybody was taking, all these photographers were taking pictures with their cell phone. So I just kind of took that one, just jokingly about it. She loved the Eiffel Tower. She had these little details on her the tables, so I wanted to make sure I pulled them out and brought some of that candy. And yes, afterwards I did eat that candy, and it was delicious. So 2 versions of it. This is probably the one that I'm gonna end up keeping. And then afterwards, a lot of the parents, they requested, you know, and you'll get this. The parents want the post shots. So if it's cool with the bride and groom, it's cool with me. So we're not going to go through those just because there were a ton. And I told them, if we do your parents only, everyone that's in here is going to want to take a picture. And obviously that's what happens. So as you can see, there were a ton of those pictures, not necessarily my favorites. But you know what? Like I said, the client is the one that's right. So you want to make sure you share that with you. But that doesn't mean that you can't have fun. So depending on how relaxed or how cool the couple are and their friends are, play around with that, and then you'll get images like this. So see, you play around with them, and sometimes you'll jump in. So that's me, and like I said, you guys aren't missing too much. And this was my assistant of the day, so you just want to have fun sometimes. So even in those pictures, they don't have to all be the same. So, and as you can tell, this is what I'm saying. See how crooked it is? That's because I started getting lazy and my shoulders are getting tired. There you go. Here's another one. So, like I said, do what you think that it's going to be best for the client. So now we go back to the bouquet toss. I had my light set up. Again, go by the timeline that they were at the time that they're working on, and you'll never miss it. But you can't always control situations like this. I was a little upset, but what can you do? But keep going. I'll just take him out later. There you go. Same thing here. Okay, now this is where I put my camera on my flash on top of my camera. So this is pretty much the only time that I will use on-camera flash. And the reason I do this is so I can get stuff like this. Basically, what this is, and I do this quite a bit, is I'm getting double exposures on my images. Now you don't have to. I'm really not too wild about taking your typical, people dancing things. I think they can just become too boring sometimes. So what I started doing was giving it a little bit more motion and people just kind of having fun. So basically what I did is I have my on-camera flash firing at one time and my off-camera flash firing at another time. So now I have basically two images in one, and I rotate or I move my camera to give it all this motion type of it creates a whole new scene and people having a lot of fun. See, same thing in this one, kind of gives it motion. Oh, I guess those were later on. But as you can see here, you capture the smiles. This image would have been totally different if, you know, the only thing I had captured was this and her laughing or whatever. Then none of this would have been around, and it just kind of would have been a boring image. So there you go. And see, now you don't have to do anything in Photoshop. All of this stuff is all done for you. You just turn it in. And right here, it's every single one of the people that you see here, they're all photographers. So this is the bride and groom. This is me. They asked me to join in. I was like, absolutely. This is actually Danny Cuevas. We do shooters together. He's one of the other shooters. And then the rest of them were just friends of him that they're all wedding photographers from there. So obviously, you know, you got to make sure you mess with them a little bit. And there you go, partying shot, you know, of them in the city. All I wanted was a reflection. I wanted something. They weren't going to have a grand exit. This was already at the hotel that they were going to stay at, so I just wanted a closing shot. I'd seen, obviously, the reflection on this window, and I'd seen these cool little panels that were on things. So I set them up on a chair, posing. I shot towards the city, put my focus point right in there, and took the shot. And that was my final shot for the evening. Something is a great idea on closing the, you know, the album on anything. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna spend as much time as we can with questions and go from there. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and promote anything. These are the workshops that I teach. These are the the flashcards, but that's it. So start off with the equipment list, just in case some of you have some questions. I'm going to leave it right up here while we answer some questions, and ask away, guys.
All right, awesome presentation today, man. I hope everybody took some notes. I definitely did, and you had a lot of awesome information here, and it was great to watch a full wedding like that. I got a lot of questions come in, and I know you're going to have a lot of great answers for them, so I'm just going to kind of work my way back down. I tried to assign some to you, so if inside of the webinar software, Hiram, you have the questions area, you might see some stuff assigned to you.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, cool, man. And if you want to work your way down there, I know the first one, I thought that was something I've heard you speak about before, was from Emma. She wanted to know, did you take all your own gear to Mexico, and how did you do that, packing it and checking it? And I'll let you kind of go in from there real quick.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, Emma. I do take all of my own gear to Mexico, and this is the gear that I take, and this is how I pack it. The cheetah stand bag, that is checked in. This is actually not very big, and it's a carry-on, and it holds every single one of my bodies and all of my lenses and the flashes. So that always goes with me. I never check any of my gear in. I don't trust it. I don't trust airlines. So all that stuff always stays with me.
All right, and if you do have any more questions about, destination photography, definitely, that would be something to connect with Hiram on, maybe like his FormSpring or Facebook page, just because there's so many details when it comes to that topic.
Cool. I got Corey Robinson is asking, it should be a given, but not always. How do you inform a bride or groom to include a meal for you? Or do you not even worry about it and carry some crackers? I do carry some crackers. I do carry a Red Bull, actually multiple Red Bulls. Just for me, most of the time, by the first 2 hours, the Red Bulls are gone. But the meals are in my contract. They're informed about it. They're informed that, for the meals should be supplied to me and to an assistant. So I always ask for 2 meals. If they decide it's a bigger wedding and I have 3 people with me, or there's 3 of us, then I inform them of how many people I'm taking, so that meal is should be supplied. I also request that I eat, or that we eat, when they're eating. The reason for doing this is because there's not really much I can do when they're eating. You don't want to take pictures of people eating anyway. So when the bride and groom are eating, then that's when we eat. It's a great opportunity for you to sit down, take a rest, or whatever, while there's nothing happening. And then, so that's the way I inform them. But it's it has happened. It has happened that somehow, somewhere, the caterer forgot or gave it away to somebody else, or just didn't plain care. And it doesn't happen often, but it has happened. So sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet and eat what there's there. And if not, carry your own stuff, your crackers or granola bars or whatever. Becky is asking, am I understanding right that that I don't use flash on camera at all? Only either he or his assistant holds the, yes. For the most part, that is true. I don't use my flash on camera at all, except for those last images that I showed when people are dancing or celebrating or doing stuff like that. That's the only time that I use it on camera. Other than that, it's always off camera. Either an assistant is holding it, or I have it on light stands. Let me see. Alicia, after the wedding, do you present your client with and what is your turnover rate? Do you give them a proof book, a musical DVD slideshow, or do they come to your studio and present the wedding to them? Okay, my turnaround time that I tell them is 6 to 8 weeks. The slideshows that I do, I actually use the PhotoBiz slideshows. They're great. They're simple. So those are the ones that I use. I do also use Animoto to give them, because I can actually link that to their Facebook page, and then at the very end of the slideshow, I put a button that says website, and it automatically takes them to my website. So it's a great selling point, and they absolutely love it because it just looks cool. And then the disc and images and everything else, all of that comes together with the album. If they order an album, if it was just the disc, then 6 to 8 weeks, then I'll present them with this coolly wrapped flash drive. I actually don't do DVDs anymore. DVDs, I think, are on their way out, so I'm kind of taking a step forward and not using DVDs anymore, and I'm actually giving just flash drives. And then on my high-end ones, or my black label ones, it actually gets a hard drive, a portable hard drive with all of their imageries on that. Okay, I've got David Munoz. How do I make my flashes go off at different times? The one that's on camera, I put it on second curtain. I'm sure all of you guys know what second curtain is. And then the other ones that are on light stands are actually with the setup to flash when my shutter opens. So that's how, one goes off when my shutter opens, and the other one right before the shutter closes. And that's how I get that double exposure. They asked me what's my favorite editing program aside from Photoshop. I don't have one. I use Photoshop for everything and Nik software. That's it. Those are the only two things that I use. If you haven't used Nik software, I highly recommend it. I use it quite a bit. And then for like actions or anything like that, I use live camera actions, which are the only actions that I use. As you can see, I don't do too much to them. I try to keep them as natural as possible. And that combination of live camera actions and Nik software kind of gives me that. Which, by the way, Nik software has the best skin softener out there. So, give it a try. You can download a trial. I think it's like a 30-day trial or something like that. So, John asks, when is the softbox used? Is it just for the bridal party pics or after the wedding? I use it randomly. I use it for bridal pictures. I use it for bridal parties. I never use them during the reception much. But if it calls for it, I don't have like a specific time to use it. I just kind of play it by ear and see what where I might use it. Okay, Mark asked a question, but I don't quite understand it, Mark. So if you want to resend it, it says, what is the name and model of this bag? I don't know which bag you're talking about.
I think he means the cheetah stand one.
Oh, okay. The long one with the light stands? Yeah, it's a cheetah stand bag. It's just, it actually, when you order from Cheetah Stand, you can actually add this bag. And all three of my tripods fit in there, so it's really cool. And it's like 3 feet long, so it's really portable. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you want to click back over to the, if you can click back over to the equipment list, I had somebody asking if you could bring it back up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then there's that suitcase that's to the left of the bag. Is that also from Cheetah?
No, that's actually, it's called a porter case. And that's P-O-R-T-E-R, porter case. That's the old model. I mean, I've had that thing forever. I can honestly say that it probably has over 100,000 miles on it. It's ridiculous. I've taken that. I've had it for about 3 years or so, 3-4 years. And it's gone, it has traveled with me everywhere. It is absolutely awesome. But they actually just came out with a new model, and the reason I have is because I have their little flyer that I just got in the mail. And when this one gives out, I'm definitely going to give this one a try. But it's really cool. So I think their website is like portercase.com. So it's definitely not inexpensive, but it's definitely by far for what you will use it for. It's totally worth. It's worth it. It's weight in gold. It's awesome. So, Jeanette Meg's asking, I'm having trouble getting the exposures for my wedding dresses when they're blown out, and the client complexion is exposed correctly. What do you recommend? It depends on what you're shooting. If you're shooting, are you shooting like daylight, ambient light, depending, or if you're shooting flash? If you're shooting daylight, that's a big problem because you're probably measuring for like the shadows, or her skin is going to be a little bit darker than her wedding dress. So what I suggest, use reflectors if you don't want to use a flash to bring some of that detail back a little bit. You don't want to expose for the dress, obviously, because she'll be way too, but kind of find a happy medium between the both to get some of those details back on that. But reflectors are lifesavers when you're using daylight. I'm going to show you a picture here where I actually used a reflector, which is this one right here. If you see, I used the flash on this lamp again. I do that quite a bit. It's a little pixelated. I don't know what's, but oh, there it is. And then behind here, this light was coming straight forward this way, so I just put a reflector right over here to bounce some of that light right back over here and get some of the detail in. So using reflectors or using a flash or something, it's gonna help you quite a bit in that situation sometimes. Jessica is asking, how do I deal with overbearing brides? I don't, plain and simple. I talked to them from the beginning. Like I said, it's part of winning their trust. And I actually have a clause in the contract where I don't take bridezillas. They start turning into bridezillas, and I have the right to walk away. I don't think anyone has the right to abuse anyone that they hire or talk down to. So, or if just, if they don't trust you, then they shouldn't be working with you. So if you're having that problem, talk to them. First of all, talk to them, tell them, see what their concerns are, and then maybe that alone is gonna help quite a bit. Emma, how many hours did I spend in post-production for this wedding? How long do you typically spend? Post-production on this wedding, it probably took me about 3 hours. And that's usually what I spend on it. I try to get it right on camera, and then not much after that. I kind of have a little rule where I don't spend more than 30 seconds in Photoshop with any image, so that really kind of helps out. All right, Victor Rosales Victor Rosales says, I have Hiram Trillo's flashcards, and they are really helpful. Victor actually went to one of my workshops in Mexico, and he got one of my flashcards. So thank you very much, Victor, for sharing that. But I'll read what he says. I says, I have Hiram Trillo's flashcards, and they're really helpful. I met him in Querétaro after this wedding, actually, where I did that. And I can say that he's a great person for sharing all of his knowledge. His question, thank you for your kind words, Victor. How much time do I use to shoot the session for both bride and groom? I always ask for about 2 hours, guys, but you're not always going to get what you want. I have shot a session of bride and groom in 45 minutes. I have done it in 15 minutes, but the client also has to know that the less time you have, the less options that you're going to be able to give to them. So as long as as they know that and they're okay with it, then that's all you can do. Nancy Reynolds, thinking back on when I first started, how do I get my name out there? How have you built your business, and how have I built my business? Nancy, the one thing that you need to worry about first than anything, is your clients. That was my #1 thing, and it still has not changed to this day. The primary thing that I focus on are my clients. I don't care who knows me and who doesn't know me. I don't care if I'm the most famous photographer in the world or if I'm not. The one thing that I care about is to make sure that my clients are taken care of and that their expectations of me were correct. Because you know what? Those are the people that are going to send you more clients, and those are the people that are going to talk good about you, and that's what you want. So that's how you're going to build your business. It's a solid foundation to build in. You can advertise in every single one, every of the biggest magazines in the country, and if your business or if your clients don't, if you don't take care of your clients, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get a strong business. So make sure that you take care of your clients. When I first started, I said I wanted to make sure that my clients were taken care of. That was my primary thing, and it still hasn't changed since. So, all right, I'm done with these. So.
All right, awesome, man. Let me see if we got any other ones coming through here, and then if not, what we'll do, we will wrap things up, and I'm going to go ahead and put those links in to the chat room, guys, for your FormSpring and Facebook page, so if anyone does have any additional questions. And a lot of people kept asking, will this be online? And yes, we are going to be placing it on our YouTube channel again, so I'll place that link inside of there. And another question just came in. So did you find it hard to photograph another photographer's wedding? And, how did you deal with them knowing so much about, what goes into a wedding and mainly the back end and sales? Megan says that she's always turning down other photographers who want them to shoot their wedding because of stress.
Um, I never ever turn it down. If a photographer is asking you to shoot their wedding, it's because they respect your work. So that's very, very flattering to begin with. The stress-wise, when they come and ask you, they're no longer a photographer, they're a client. And if you guys clicked, and if they like the way you shoot, if they they signed the contract, they read the contract and all that stuff, and everything is dandy, then they're your clients now. So treat them as such. Don't the stress part of it, don't worry about it. You do your job just like you would anywhere else. It's not going to be that much different. On this one, like I said, because he knew so much about it, and because I was upfront on the way I talked to him, on the way I covered things and everything, I mean, he put every single one, his complete trust in me, and I didn't have an issue. I mean, he was my client, and he knew that. I said what I needed to say. I talked to him when I needed to talk to them, and so make sure that you just, you don't treat them any differently. On the sales part of it or everything, they got the collection that they wanted. It wasn't anything different. It wasn't different at all from anything else. They didn't approach me as, hey, I'm a photographer. It's going to be, a great opportunity for you. No, they approached me. I said, hey, I respect your work. We're getting married here and there. They gave me the information. We talked, and the contract was signed.
Awesome, man. Well, let me go ahead and grab these links in here. So if you wanted to have any closing words for anyone, or wanted to share the links to your websites again, maybe you want to pull that up, and I will grab the last final links to send to everyone.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, first of all, like I said, the primary thing is make sure that you're taking care of your clients. That's going to be the main thing. That should be your primary focus. It shouldn't, don't ever focus or don't ever go into a wedding, even if it's a beautiful high-end wedding or whatever, or it has a lot of details. Don't ever go into a wedding thinking, oh, well, I'm going to get a lot of detailed shots so that I can, send them in and get published. If that is your primary thing, then you're going about it all wrong, and it's not fair to your clients. Okay. If you see, I'm not published in a lot of blogs. The blogs that do contact me. They know, the stuff and how I shoot. I don't overshoot details because you know what? The details are there just to make things look pretty. But a lot of the times I want to focus my feelings in what they're feeling and how they're, how they want to see their wedding, how they want to remember it. So. If you haven't, I've said this before in the past. Probably, if I can't say it better, I'll just tell you. Jonas Peterson and the Mason Jar Manifesto. Read it. It's exactly how I feel as well. It's absolutely fantastic, and he talks about how we can actually ruin the wedding industry by focusing too much on details. So your client should be number one, details are secondary, or getting published, or any of that stuff. Like I said, if you want to make a name for yourself, you want to make a name for yourself for your clients, not for other photographers. Okay? So, take care of your clients, and I will guarantee you that they will take care of you. That has been my motto from the beginning. It hasn't failed me yet, and I want to make sure that, when I start getting away from that, then I think I have failed. So, again, these are the little promos that I have, guys. I teach the Revolution workshops. I'm currently having one in Phoenix coming up soon at the end of next month. Shooting workshops, we've actually don't have any in the U.S. We're doing Spain and Argentina this year. And then the flashcards are actually going to be released here pretty soon as downloads. So I will make sure that I keep everyone in touch. If you guys have any questions, guys, I think Danny pulled up the like my form spring and stuff like that. Guys, I'm an open book, plain and simple. If you have, I'm not reinventing the wheel in any way, manner, or fashion. It's stuff that I've learned. I learned from great teachers, and I think it's only my duty to make sure that I pass, the information around as well. So if you have questions or whatever, don't hesitate to send me a question on FormSpring, on Facebook, and I'll answer it to the best of my abilities. If I can't, I will point you in a direction that I think might get it answered. But never stop learning. Always, educate yourself and make sure that you give the best of you to your clients. I think that is something that hopefully it doesn't get lost. And having a rock star mentality or anything like that, it can only take you so far for a while. But your client should be number one at all times. So I hope you guys enjoyed it a little bit, what we did today. Visit websites, send me an email, FormSpring me, Facebook me, whatever you guys need or questions that you might have, or if you just want to say what's up, hey, let me know. If you guys want to do any revolutions where you guys are at, hey, I will gladly go to wherever I'm invited. So let me know, and the same thing goes for shooters.
Yes, guys, so don't be shy. Definitely go on Hiram's Facebook or FormSpring and, leave him a note. Let him know that you appreciate him taking the time out of his day to do this. And I definitely do. Hiram, thank you again for joining us and, informing so many other photographers out there. And what we'll do, guys, if you, enjoyed having Hiram speak and teach you guys, and you have other subjects you'd like to see him cover, please send your ideas over to either one of us, and we can possibly, work something out in the future. Your other webinar that Hiram did on our old software was called Light Me Up, and it was about off-camera lighting. So maybe we can look on doing something like that again in the future. And if you guys are interested in that, leave us a comment, definitely.
Also, let me know what you guys think, and maybe we can do one on destination weddings and how to prepare and get ready and shoot for one, and we'll go from there. Just give me your thoughts, and we'll get it done.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks again, Hiram. And at this time, we're going to go ahead and sign off here. We'll have the video up on YouTube in just a few hours, so you guys can be sure to rewatch it, check in again on it, and share it with all of your friends. So thanks for joining us, and thanks again, Hiram.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, everybody have a great day. Thank you.